The massive chamber of the Galactic Council buzzed with excitement. Hundreds of alien representatives from across the galaxy filled the circular room, their varied forms creating a living rainbow of colors and shapes. Today was special. Humanity had finally achieved faster-than-light travel and requested their first diplomatic meeting. High Counselor Reed, a tall blue-skinned being with 4 arms, stood at the central podium reviewing the preliminary data about Earth's fleet. His secondary eyes blinked rapidly as he rechecked the numbers. Sure, there must be some mistake. These readings can't be correct, he muttered to his assistant. Their ships are barely larger than our transport shuttles. The chamber's massive display screen lit up, showing the approaching human diplomatic fleet. Laughter erupted across the chamber as the aliens saw the size of the vessels. Even the smallest alien warships were at least 5 times larger than the human ships. Admiral James Walker stood straight and proud on the bridge of the EFS Endeavour, Earth's flagship. At just 300 meters in length, it was indeed tiny compared to the kilometer-long alien vessels surrounding them, but he knew better than to feel intimidated. 20 years of service had taught him that bigger didn't always mean better. "Sir, we're receiving transmission from Galactic Central," reported his communications officer. They're laughing, sir." Walker's jaw tightened, but he kept his voice steady. "Maintain course and formation. Let them laugh." The human fleet approached the massive space station that served as the Galactic Council's headquarters. Their 5 ships moved in perfect formation, their silver hulls gleaming under the light of nearby stars. While small, each vessel displayed the precise engineering and elegant design that humanity had perfected over centuries of aerospace advancement. Inside the council chamber, the amusement continued. "Look at their weapons," one reptilian delegate shouted. "They're like toys." "Perhaps they confused their mining ships with their military vessels," another added, triggering more laughter. High Counselor Reed raised his hands for silence as Admiral Walker was escorted into the chamber. The human stood alone before the assembly, his white uniform crisp and his bearing military straight. Despite being shorter than most species present, there was something in his calm demeanor that caught Reed's attention. "Admiral Walker," Reed began, trying to keep the amusement out of his voice, "we welcome Earth to the galactic community. However, we must express our concern about your fleet's capabilities." Walker's face remained neutral. "Thank you for your welcome, High Counselor. Earth is eager to establish diplomatic relations and trading rights with the galactic community." A large tentacled delegate interrupted from the upper tier. "Trading rights? With those vessels? They couldn't even transport enough goods to make it worthwhile. One of our cargo holds is larger than their entire fleet." More laughter echoed through the chamber. Walker waited patiently for it to die down. "We understand your concern," he said calmly. "But I assure you, our ships are more than capable of handling substantial cargo and defending themselves if necessary." Defending themselves? A warrior case delegate stood up, his armor clanking. "Those tiny ships wouldn't last 10 seconds against even our smallest patrol vessel. How do you expect to protect your trade routes?" Walker smiled slightly. "We have our ways." The council members exchanged glances, some smirking, others shaking their heads in pity. High Counselor Reed cleared his throat. "Admiral Walker, while we appreciate Earth's achievement in reaching the stars, we cannot in good conscience grant full trading rights to a fleet so limited. Perhaps in a few decades, when your civilization has developed proper spacefaring vessels." "I understand," Walker replied, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber. "Earth will remember the Council's decision." He turned and walked out, his footsteps echoing in the suddenly quiet chamber. As the human fleet departed, High Counselor Reed watched them go with an uneasy feeling. Something about Walker's quiet confidence bothered him. But then he shook his head. What harm could such tiny ships possibly do? He would remember that moment of doubt in the months to come. 3 months after the Council's rejection, trouble began brewing in the outer trading lanes. The Stellar Empire, known for its aggressive expansion and heavily armed ships, had taken notice of the small human vessels traveling through their sector. Commander Blackwood of the merchant vessel Star Trader watched his radar screen with growing concern. Two massive Empire ships had changed course to intercept his vessel. Each was easily 20 times the size of his ship. "This is the third time this week," he muttered, sending a quick distress signal back to Earth Command. "They're getting bolder." The radio crackled. "Attention human vessel," a deep voice boomed. "Your kind is not welcome in these lanes. Prepare to surrender your cargo or be destroyed." Blackwood knew the drill. Like all captains, he had received special instructions from Admiral Walker for these situations. "This is a registered trading vessel," he replied calmly. "We have proper navigation rights through this sector." The Empire ships drew closer, their massive shadow falling over the Star Trader. Through the view screen, Blackwood could see their gun ports opening, each cannon larger than his entire bridge. "Rights." The Empire commander laughed. "Rights granted by whom? The Council rejected you. Now your ship and cargo belong to us." Back on Earth, Admiral Walker sat in the dimly lit command center, watching dozens of similar reports flood in. Empire raiders had attacked 15 human ships in the past week alone. Yet strangely, not a single human vessel had been lost. "Sir," his aide approached with a data tablet. "Another distress signal. The Star Trader this time." Walker nodded, a slight smile playing on his lips. "How many raider ships?" "2 heavy cruisers, sir. Standard Empire intimidation tactics." "Perfect." Walker pressed a button on his command console. "Blackwood, execute Protocol Thunder." Out in space, Blackwood received the code and grinned. "Copy that, Admiral." The Empire ships had moved into position on either side of the Star Trader, ready to disable the tiny vessel. Their commanders were already discussing how to divide the cargo. Suddenly, their sensors screamed warnings. The small human ship's power signature had changed dramatically. "What's happening?" the Empire commander demanded. "Their energy readings are off the charts." The Star Trader's seemingly decorative outer panel slid away, revealing rows of compact but highly advanced weapons. Before the Empire ships could react, precise energy pulses shot out, targeting their engines with surgical accuracy. "Impossible," the Empire commander shouted as his ship's power systems flickered and died. "Those weapons, they're too advanced for such a small vessel." Within minutes, both massive Empire ships floated powerless in space, their crews shocked into silence. The Star Trader, now resembling a tiny predator rather than easy prey, moved smoothly between them. "This is Commander Blackwood." He transmitted to both ships. "Next time, remember that size isn't everything. Have a nice day." In the following weeks, similar reports spread across the galaxy. Human ships, when attacked, revealed surprising capabilities. Their weapons were precise and powerful, their shields unexpectedly strong, and their maneuverability unlike anything the Empire had encountered. The Stellar Empire's Council gathered for an emergency meeting. Admiral Dex, their supreme commander, paced angrily before the assembled leaders. "These humans make a mockery of us," he roared. "Their tiny ships dance around our mighty vessels like insects, but insects can be crushed." He slammed his fist on the table. "I demand permission to deploy the full battle fleet. We will show these humans the true meaning of power." The Empire Council members nodded in agreement, their pride wounded by repeated defeats at the hands of the supposedly inferior human ships. Back on Earth, Walker received the intelligence report about the Empire's plans. Instead of concern, he felt a sense of anticipation. "Send word to all ships," he ordered. "Operation Mosquito is now in effect. Let's show them why humans believe good things come in small packages." As he looked at the star map showing the gathering Empire fleet, Walker remembered the laughter in the council chamber. Soon, they would all understand why Earth had chosen to build small ships. It hadn't been a limitation, it had been a choice. The real demonstration of human ingenuity was about to begin. In the dark space near the Arcturus trading route, 6 massive Empire warships surrounded what appeared to be a vulnerable convoy of 3 small human merchant vessels. The raiders' sensors showed no military escorts protecting the human ships. Like taking candy from a baby, Captain Rex of the lead Empire ship sneered. His vessel alone was nearly a mile long, bristling with weapons that could shatter small moons. "Attention human vessels, power down and prepare to be boarded." The human ships continued their steady course, seemingly ignorant of the danger. The Empire captain frowned at this strange behavior. Are they deaf? He wondered aloud. Fire a warning shot. A massive energy beam lanced out from his ship, deliberately missing the human vessels by a small margin. Still no response. Something's wrong. His sensor officer suddenly called out. I'm detecting energy signatures. They're coming from behind the moons. Before Rex could react, 12 more human ships appeared from their hiding places behind nearby natural satellites. They were small military vessels, each no larger than a standard Empire shuttle, but they moved with incredible speed. Admiral Walker's voice crackled through all channels. Empire vessels, you have entered restricted space and threatened civilian ships. This is your only warning. Withdraw or face the consequences. Rex laughed, though with less confidence than before. You dare threaten us? Our smallest gun could vaporize your entire fleet. Have it your way, Walker replied calmly. All ships, execute Pattern Delta. What happened next would be studied in military academies across the galaxy for years to come. The human ships moved in ways that defied conventional space combat logic. Instead of maintaining a safe distance as larger ships typically did, they darted in close to the Empire vessels. They're insane. Rex shouted as 3 human ships zipped past his main viewport, so close he could see their hull markings. Fire all weapons. But the Empire's massive guns were designed to hit targets at long range. The human ships were too close and too fast. Energy beams and plasma torpedoes meant to destroy ships kilometers away couldn't track targets just a few hundred meters from their hull. Commander Wilson, leading one of the human attack groups, guided his ship through the gaps between the Empire vessels' gun positions. Target their sensor arrays, he ordered. Precise shots only. Let's show them what human accuracy looks like. The smaller human ships fired their weapons with surgical precision. Each shot hit exactly where intended, disabling critical systems without causing catastrophic damage. The Empire crews watched in horror as their advanced targeting systems went dark one by one. Impossible. Rex slammed his control panel as another human ship swept past, its weapons taking out his main communication array. Our shields, they're cutting through them like they're not even there. Sir, his second-in-command reported, voice shaking. Their weapons, they're not trying to destroy us. They're systematically disabling every major system. The truth dawned on Rex too late. The humans weren't just fighting. They were demonstrating their superiority. In space, being big meant being an easier target. Within 20 minutes, all 6 Empire warships floated powerless, their weapons and engines disabled. Not a single ship had been destroyed, but none could fight or even move. The human vessels regrouped, forming a neat formation in front of Rex's bridge viewport. Admiral Walker's voice came through once more. Captain Rex, your ships have been disabled. We could have destroyed them, but that would be wasteful. Instead, we've given you a chance to deliver a message. Rex, his pride crushed, managed to respond. What message? Tell your Empire that size means nothing without skill. Tell them that humanity chose to build small ships because we understand that space combat isn't about brute force. It's about precision, speed, and intelligence. As Walker's words faded, the human ships disappeared as quickly as they had appeared, leaving the humbled Empire fleet to wait for rescue. Their massive ships, once symbols of power, now seemed clumsy and oversized. In the following days, news of the battle spread quickly. The Empire had lost their first major engagement with the humans, and they had lost it badly. But this was just the beginning, and everyone knew it. The storm was about to get much bigger. The Grand Admiral of the Stellar Empire slammed his fist onto the holographic display, causing the image of their defeated ships to flicker. The Emergency War Council chamber fell silent as his 4 eyes glowed with rage. 6 of our best ships. Disabled by these gnats. He turned to face the gathered commanders. The humans didn't even have the honor to destroy them. They just left our crews floating in space, powerless and humiliated. On the massive screen behind him, footage from the battle played. The tiny human ships danced between Empire vessels like nimble fish around sluggish whales. Each precise strike had methodically stripped away their defenses, leaving them helpless. "My lord," one of his generals spoke up, "perhaps we should reconsider our approach." "No," the Grand Admiral's voice boomed through the chamber. "We will not be mocked by primitives who build toy-sized ships. Prepare the First Fleet, all of it." The commanders exchanged worried glances. The First Fleet consisted of 200 of the Empire's largest warships, including their flagship, the Planet Crusher, a vessel so massive it could cast a shadow on small moons. Meanwhile, at Earth Command, Admiral Walker studied the intelligence reports with a slight smile. The Empire was reacting exactly as expected. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "long-range sensors detect major fleet movements in Empire space. It looks like, yes, they're deploying the First Fleet." Walker nodded. "And so they take the bait. Send the signal. Operation Mosquito is now active. All ships to their assigned positions." Across human space, small fleets of Earth vessels began moving into carefully planned positions. Each ship carried newly installed upgrades, tested and perfected after the lessons learned from their first major engagement. 3 days later, the Empire's First Fleet arrived at the border of human space. 200 massive warships formed an intimidating wall of metal and energy weapons. At their center, the Planet Crusher's massive form dwarfed even its fellow Empire ships. "This is High Commander Vex of the Stellar Empire First Fleet." A transmission boomed across all frequencies. "Surrender now, and we may spare your worlds from total destruction." The response came not in words, but in action. Sensors detected human ships appearing from seemingly nowhere. Not hundreds, but thousands of small vessels, each no bigger than a standard Empire shuttle. "Sir," the Planet Crusher's sensor officer called out in alarm. "The humans. They're everywhere. They're using some kind of new formation we've never seen before." The human ships moved in perfect coordination, forming complex 3-dimensional patterns that shifted and changed like living art. Walker's voice came through clear and calm. "Operation Mosquito. Phase 1. Begin." What followed was unlike anything the Empire had ever witnessed. The human ships moved in swarms, each group targeting specific enemy vessels with incredible precision. They struck from all angles, their advanced weapons finding weak points in the massive ship's defenses. "They're not just fast," Vex realized with growing horror. "They're learning. Each attack is more precise than the last." He was right. The human ships were sharing tactical data in real time, their advanced AI systems analyzing each engagement and adapting their strategies accordingly. Every failed attack taught them, making each subsequent strike more effective. The Empire's massive guns fired again and again, but hitting the small, agile human ships proved nearly impossible. It was like trying to swat insects with a tree trunk. "Status report," Vex demanded as his flagship shuddered from another precision strike. "My lord, we've lost contact with 30 ships already. They're not destroyed, but they're completely disabled. Our formation is breaking apart." The Planet Crusher's bridge crew watched in dismay as human vessels swarmed around them like angry bees, systematically disabling weapon systems and engines. Their size, once their greatest pride, had become their greatest weakness. "Fall back," Vex finally ordered, his pride shattered. "All ships, emergency retreat." As the Empire fleet fled in disarray, Walker watched from his command ship. "Send word to Earth Command," he ordered. "Phase 1 complete. The Empire now understands that quantity doesn't equal quality. The first real test of Operation Mosquito had been a complete success, but Walker knew this was just the beginning. The Empire would be back, and next time, they would be desperate. And desperate enemies were always the most dangerous. News of the Empire's defeat spread quickly through the galaxy. In an emergency session, the Galactic Council gathered to discuss the shocking turn of events. The same chamber that had once echoed with laughter at humanity's small ships now buzzed with nervous whispers. High Counselor Reed stood at his podium, watching the holographic replay of the battle. "I believe," he announced, "we need to understand exactly what we're dealing with. Admiral Walker has agreed to provide a demonstration." The chamber doors opened, and Walker entered, carrying what looked like a small metal cube. The aliens watched curiously as he placed it on the central display platform. "This," Walker said, his voice carrying through the silent chamber, "is why our ships are small." The cube suddenly expanded, transforming into a detailed hologram of a human warship's internal systems. The alien representatives leaned forward, their eyes widening as they began to understand. "While you were building bigger ships," Walker explained, "we focused on making things smaller. What you see here is 300 years of miniaturization technology." The hologram zoomed in on the ship's power core, where alien vessels needed massive chambers to house their reactors. The human design showed something revolutionary. A power core no larger than a car engine, yet producing more energy than systems 10 times its size. "Impossible," shouted a technical expert from the Empire delegation. "No power source that small could sustain combat operations." Walker smiled. "We discovered something your scientists missed. Size isn't about power, it's about efficiency." The hologram shifted to show the ship's weapon systems. Instead of the huge, energy-hungry cannons used by alien vessels, human ships used compact, precisely engineered weapons that could hit targets with surgical accuracy. "Our entire approach to space combat is different," Walker continued. "You build ships like floating fortresses. We build them like fighter jets. Every system, every component, has been refined to be as small and efficient as possible." The display showed a human ship slipping through a gap between two Empire vessels, a maneuver that would be impossible for larger ships. "This is why we win," Walker explained. "Your massive ships can't go where we go, can't move like we move, can't adapt like we adapt." The hologram changed again, showing the human fleet's swarm tactics from their recent battle. "We don't need huge ships because we work together. Each vessel is part of a larger network, sharing data and coordinating attacks in real time." One of the council members, a respected scientist, spoke up. "But the power requirements for such coordination, the computing systems alone should take up half the ship." Walker's smile widened. "That's what makes human innovation special. We didn't just make things smaller, we made them better." The hologram zoomed in on a tiny crystal matrix near the ship's bridge. "This quantum computing core is smaller than my fist, but it can process more data than all the computers in this station combined." The chamber erupted in excited discussions. Species that had dismissed humanity as primitive now saw them in a completely different light. "And the best part," Walker continued, silencing the room again, "what you're seeing isn't even our latest technology. This is what we're willing to show you." The implications of his words sent a chill through the chamber. If this was what humans shared openly, what were they keeping secret? High Counselor Reed cleared his throat. "Admiral Walker, I believe the Council owes humanity an apology. We judged your civilization solely by the size of your ships, never considering there might be a reason for their design." Walker nodded graciously. "Apology accepted. But remember, what you've seen here today isn't just about military power. Think of the possibilities for civilian use. Medical equipment that once filled rooms now smaller than a briefcase. Space habitats that can house thousands in a fraction of the usual space." As the council members discussed the potential implications, Walker's communicator beeped. Another Empire fleet had been detected moving toward human space, even larger than the last. "If you'll excuse me," he said, turning to leave. It seems some people need one more demonstration of why bigger isn't always better. The council watched him go, finally understanding that humanity's small ships weren't a sign of weakness. They were the future of space technology. And the Empire was about to learn this lesson the hard way. The Empire's last desperate gambit had begun. 500 massive warships, their entire reserve fleet, dropped out of faster-than-light travel near the Earth colony of New Hope. The armada stretched across space like a metal wall, led by 3 super dreadnoughts, each one bigger than any ship ever built before. Grand Admiral Vex stood on the bridge of his new flagship, the Galaxy's Might, a vessel 5 miles long. "Let's see their tiny ships deal with this," he growled. All ships, battle formation. In Earth's command center, Admiral Walker watched the enemy fleet's approach on the main screen. Instead of worry, his face showed calm determination. "They've committed everything," his tactical officer reported. "Every combat-capable ship the Empire has." Walker nodded. "Then today we end this. Signal all ships. Operation Mosquito. Final phase." Across the sector, human vessels emerged from hiding. They came from behind moons, asteroids, and even from within the debris of previous battles. But this time, they had something new. "Sir," an Empire sensor operator called out in alarm. "The human ships, they're disappearing and reappearing." Vex rushed to the display. The human vessels were performing impossibly short, faster-than-light jumps, blinking in and out of existence across the battlefield. 1 second they were in front of an Empire ship, the next they were behind it, then underneath it. "Micro-jumping technology," Walker explained over an open channel. "Something else we kept small that you made big. You need a ship 5 miles long to jump across the galaxy. We just need enough to jump across the battlefield." The battle that followed would be remembered for centuries. Human ships appeared and disappeared like ghosts, striking with perfect precision before vanishing again. Their coordinated attacks looked like a deadly dance, each move calculated and precise. "Return fire." Vex screamed as another wave of human ships blinked into existence near his bridge. "Hit them with everything." But the Empire's massive weapons were useless against targets that never stayed in one place for more than a few seconds. The humans had turned space itself into their weapon. Commander Alice of the human ship Swift Strike led her squadron through a series of micro-jumps that took them through the heart of the Empire formation. "Target their command and control systems," she ordered. "Standard disable and move pattern." Her ships blinked into existence beside an Empire dreadnought, fired their precise weapons, and vanished before the massive vessel could even turn its guns. When they reappeared, it was next to another target, continuing their unstoppable assault. On the Galaxy's Might, chaos reigned. "My lord," the tactical officer reported, panic in his voice, "we've lost contact with half the fleet. The humans, they're not just disabling our ships, they're trapping them in some kind of energy field." He was right. After disabling each Empire ship, the human vessels deployed containment fields, ensuring the massive ships couldn't drift and damage each other. It wasn't just combat. It was damage control on a massive scale. "Status report," Vex demanded. 300 ships disabled. No casualties on either side. Our remaining vessels can't maintain formation. The humans are everywhere at once. Walker's voice came through again. "Grand Admiral Vex, look around you. Your ships are being disabled one by one, and there's nothing you can do about it. Surrender now, and let's end this without bloodshed." Vex watched helplessly as more of his ships went dark, caught in the humans' perfect trap. His mighty armada, the largest fleet ever assembled, was being systematically shut down by ships he had once laughed at. "How?" he whispered. "How can such small ships do this?" "Because," Walker replied, "we learned long ago that the race for bigger weapons was a dead end. Space combat isn't about size. It's about intelligence, efficiency, and precision." Finally, the Galaxy's Might stood alone, the last active Empire ship in the sector. Surrounded by his disabled fleet, Vex made the only choice he could. We surrender. As the human ships materialized around his vessel, Vex finally understood. The Empire had lost the moment they decided that bigger meant better. The humans had chosen a different path, and that path had led them to victory. The greatest space battle in history had ended without a single death, and it had been won by the fleet everyone once mocked for being too small. The Galactic Council chamber was packed beyond capacity. Representatives from every spacefaring race had come to witness this historic moment. Even those who had once laughed at humanity's tiny fleet now sat in respectful silence. High Counselor Reed stood at the central podium, his 4 arms raised for attention. Today, he announced, we formally welcome humanity as a full member of the Galactic Council, with all rights and privileges thereof. Admiral Walker approached the podium, his white uniform pristine. The same chamber that had mocked him months ago now rose in a standing ovation. He raised his hand for silence. Thank you, he began, his voice carrying clearly through the vast space. But this isn't just about humanity's victory. It's about changing how we all think about space travel and combat. A holographic display activated, showing scenes from the final battle. The Empire's massive ships floated harmlessly in their containment fields, while human vessels danced between them with incredible precision. We could have destroyed the Empire fleet, Walker continued, but that would have cost lives and resources. Instead, we chose to demonstrate that true power isn't about size. It's about how you use what you have. In the audience, Grand Admiral Vex, now serving as the Empire's peace representative, nodded slowly. His people had learned this lesson the hard way. The Empire's ships have been returned, Walker explained, but with a condition. They've agreed to establish a joint training program. Their crews will learn alongside human instructors, discovering why smaller, more efficient ships are the future. The display changed to show the first group of Empire cadets training on human vessels. Their initial awkwardness had given way to understanding as they experienced the advantages of smaller, more agile ships firsthand. But this goes beyond military applications, Walker continued. Human miniaturization technology is already revolutionizing civilian life across the galaxy. The screen showed new medical facilities using compact human equipment, space stations rebuilt with efficient human designs, and trading vessels that could carry the same cargo as larger ships while using a fraction of the power. The age of building bigger is over, Walker declared. We invite all species to join us in building better. High Counselor Reed stepped forward again. The Council has also passed a unanimous resolution. The term tiny fleet, once used to mock humanity, will now be officially recorded as a mark of honor. It will serve as a reminder to future generations that innovation and efficiency trump size and brute force. The chamber erupted in applause. Species that had been bitter rivals for centuries found themselves united in admiration of human ingenuity. After the ceremony, Walker stood at a viewport, watching ships from various species dock at the station. Many were noticeably smaller than before, already incorporating human design principles. Admiral, a young Empire cadet approached him, saluting. I wanted to thank you. I used to dream of commanding a massive dreadnought. Now I understand that true power comes from skill, not size. Walker smiled. Keep that mindset, and you'll go far. The future belongs to those who can adapt and improve. Back on Earth, celebrations filled the streets. Humanity had not only defended itself, but had changed the way an entire galaxy thought about technology and progress. In the months that followed, the changes became even more apparent. The massive warships that had once dominated space were gradually retired, replaced by smaller, more efficient vessels. Trade routes that had been restricted by the size of ships now flourished with faster, more numerous craft. At the Earth Fleet Academy, Walker addressed a class of new cadets, human and alien alike. Remember, he told them, when they laughed at our tiny fleet, they weren't seeing the whole picture. Size isn't what makes a ship powerful. It's the ingenuity of its design. the skill of its crew, and the wisdom to know that bigger isn't always better. As he watched the cadets training together, Walker knew that the galaxy had entered a new era. The day of the massive ship was over. The future belonged to those who understood that true greatness often came in small packages, and it had all started because someone had mocked a tiny fleet of human ships.